All right, Tim, can you introduce your company and your products?
My name is Tim Moore. I work at a company called Atlassian. We develop productivity tools for technical teams. Best known product is probably Jira, which is an issue tracker, a place to track your bugs or support issues or anything like that. We also have a product called Confluence, which is our enterprise wiki. You can use it for documentation, for requirements planning, really for any kind of collaborative document management. We also have a series of other development tools. One's called Fisheye, that's for source code repository management and exploration. Got one called Crucible, which is for source code review. One called Crowd, which is a single sign-on tool. One called Clover, which is a test coverage tool so that you can track the metrics of how well your tests are actually testing your code. And Bamboo, which is a continuous integration server for performing builds. The company's based in Australia. It's been around since 2002, but we also have offices in San Francisco and Amsterdam. And I work in the San Francisco office as a developer for about the last 18 months.
All right. What Google technologies do you use?
Mostly we're using Open Social, so we're making a real big push now to take Open Social, which has already sort of proven itself as a social networking technology, and we're using it in the enterprise because we've decided that development and really all kinds of business activities are inherently social activities. So what works well for social networks also works really well for enterprise applications.
Right. What was involved in your decision to use the Open Social platform?
Well, a lot of it is that Jira, our issue tracking tool, has a configurable dashboard that can be used to display data about your issues. We thought it would be even better if it could display data from the other products that we sell and even other products that we don't sell side by side with your issue information. And we looked at iGoogle and saw how that was able to pull content from lots of different developers, put them all in one place and display that information next to each other, and said, wouldn't it be cool if dev tools worked this way and you could pull your issues and your source code activity and your code review activity and your builds all into a single unified dashboard. And when we saw that Open Social was based off of Google Gadgets, we thought that this would be the ideal technology to build our new dashboards off of. And the more we thought about it, the more we thought that we could bring in other aspects of Open Social as well, because, you know, if you think about a wiki, it's really a kind of a social network. If you think about a source code repository, the different committers to that project are in a way members of a social network.
Have there been any major challenges that you've encountered on the platform?
I think the biggest challenge that we've had is that a lot of what Open Social was built for was websites that have a single company controlling them with whatever deployment architecture they need. Whereas we sell packaged software that's mostly installed by our customers on their own servers behind their firewalls, and Open Social wasn't necessarily designed for that kind of deployment scenario, so we had to find ways to make that work. So one example is that a lot of Open Social gadgets have URLs that are hard-coded to access data from a certain web service at a certain URL. Well, we wanted our gadget developers to be able to develop gadgets that can be installed into any customer's instance of our software and will contact back to that software to get data. So we actually developed a kind of a templating layer that sits on top of the gadget specification and allows you to embed macros within your gadget spec that are transformed when you install that gadget into a server into, for example, the URL for that server or the OAuth information for that server. And so it takes a generic gadget and customizes it for the server that it's installed on.
How has providing an application platform helped your business?
Well, all of our software has been extensible pretty much since it was built. We have a rich plugin API for all of our software, and we've got a large ecosystem of developers. Some of them are commercial developers that sell products that work on top of our software. Some of them are open source developers, and we actually have made a lot of open source plugins available ourselves so that people can use those as a learning tool. So even though we're just kind of starting with the Open Social stuff, our first Open Social implementation is Jira 4, which is going into beta this week. We do kind of have a history of providing an API layer for developers to build on our software, and it's been incredible, the innovation that we've seen people build on top of our software, and even entire businesses that are based on building plugins for Jira and Confluence. So we're really excited about Open Social because our software has traditionally had Java APIs, which is great if you're a Java developer. Many of our customers are not. Open Social allows you to build integrations based on just HTML, CSS, JavaScript, simple web technologies that a lot of people understand, and so it's going to open the door to even more extension and integration by a bigger audience of developers.
Do you have any advice for developers looking to write network level apps?
Developers who are writing open social apps for our platform or gadgets for our software, we recommend that they start with simple stuff, and it's really a good idea to get familiar with the gadget technology by writing gadgets for iGoogle, and then start to learn about how we've provided extensions on top of that for our own software. A great resource that we just launched today is a microsite on our website for Open Social, and especially Open Social in the enterprise. If you go to www.atlassian.com/opensocial, you can see videos, documentation, links to resources for developers and end users. So it's a great resource for anybody who's interested in this technology.
Very cool. Very cool. So what's the most lucrative Open Social container that you've worked with?
Most of what we've worked with, other than our own containers, are Google's containers, and we're really excited especially about the ability to embed gadgets in Gmail. We think that's going to be really useful for a lot of people who tend to live their lives in email, but want to see data from either Atlassian or other applications juxtaposed with their email and provide an easy way to interact with a lot of different applications without having to leave the page. We're also obviously really excited, as is everybody here, about the Google Wave stuff, and we're really interested in seeing if our gadgets are going to work in that too. We hope so, and I don't see why not.
All right, Tim, I want to thank you for your time today.
Thank you.